All right, let's dive straight into it. You probably didn't expect to see this name at the top of the list, but yeah, it's true. Marquise Hollywood Brown could actually be on the chopping block in Kansas City. I know, it sounds wild, right? A guy with his resume, his playmaking speed, and a name that still carries weight in the league. But the reality heading into training camp paints a different picture. Now look, I'm still holding out hope for Hollywood. I mean, when healthy, the guy can be electric. He can stretch the field, he's got that vertical threat that Mahomes loves, and the idea of him clicking in this Andy Reid offense, that's something fans were excited about the second he signed. But here's the issue. He hasn't shown it yet in KC. Hollywood was banged up last season, no question. But even when he was active, he didn't do much to impress. A couple of games in the regular season and postseason left a lot to be desired. And when you combine that with the emergence of rookie Jalen Royals, who's been turning heads all offseason, you start to see where the Chiefs' front office might be leaning. Plus, let's not forget there's talk of the team still looking to upgrade the WR position. That wide receiver room is getting crowded. And if someone like Royals or even another veteran addition shines in camp, suddenly Hollywood's spot isn't so secure. Here's the kicker, though. It's not really about money. Cutting Brown would only save the Chiefs around $300,000. So the real issue here? Roster value. Who deserves that spot more? That's what it comes down to. If I'm the Chiefs, I still want to see what Hollywood can do with a full, healthy offseason. I'm not ready to move on just yet, but this is a prove-it situation. He's got to show up and show out at training camp or risk being left behind. So now I'm throwing it to you. Put on your GM cap. Should the Chiefs keep Hollywood Brown? Type AY for hell yes or HN for hell no in the comments and let me know what you'd do. Also, we're on the road to 5,000 subscribers, and your support helps us keep dropping daily Chiefs news with no fluff. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and give this video a like. We're just getting started. The Punt God in danger? Now let's talk about a name that's been getting a lot of attention since joining Kansas City. Matt Araiza, the so-called Punt God. And yet somehow, here we are, discussing whether or not he might actually be cut before the season even starts. Sounds crazy, right? Araiza had a strong year. He averaged nearly 50 yards per punt and dropped 25 of them inside the 20. That's not just good, that's elite. You'd think he'd be a lock for the roster. But then, out of nowhere, the Chiefs brought in Eddie Kitsby, an undrafted free agent punter. That tells us something, doesn't it? Let's keep it real. Teams don't bring in punter competition without a reason. And while it might not just be about performance, the money side of things matters too. If the Chiefs were to move on from Araiza and go with Eddie instead, they'd save just under $1 million, $960,000 to be exact. Now sure, that's not game-changing cap space, but when you're juggling contracts, looking to make room for a mid-season addition, or keeping depth elsewhere, every dollar counts. But here's what really makes this tough. Araiza didn't do anything to deserve being on the hot seat. This isn't a guy who struggled last year or cost the team field position. He did his job, and he did it well. So if this turns into a real competition at camp, it'll come down to whether Eddie can absolutely blow away the coaching staff and make them feel confident in taking a risk on a rookie. So, Chiefs Kingdom, here's the question. If you had to pick one, who do you keep? Type MA for Matt Araiza or EC for Eddie Kitsby in the comments right now. I want to know where you stand. And if you're enjoying these deep dives into the roster battles that no one else is talking about, hit that like button and subscribe to Total Chiefs News. We're pushing for 5,000 subscribers, and your support means the world. One click makes a massive difference. Is Joshua Williams worth the money? All right, next up we're talking about a guy who's quietly flown under the radar, but when you really dig into the numbers, it's impossible to ignore. Joshua Williams, cornerback for the Kansas City Chiefs, is in a tricky spot. And honestly, if he wants to stay on this roster, something's got to give. Here's the deal. Williams didn't play a single defensive snap in the postseason last year. 0. Zilch. And yet, he's still taking up a valuable roster spot and, more importantly, a decent chunk of the salary cap. If the Chiefs were to cut him right now, they'd save about $3.4 million against the cap. That's not small potatoes. Now, to be fair, Joshua's not a bad player. Let's be clear on that. If he were making backup money, league minimum type of stuff, this probably wouldn't even be a conversation. You'd keep him as CB4, CB5, or even CB6 and call it a day. But with that salary, nah. That changes everything. So here's where things get interesting. He has options. If I'm Brett Veach, I don't walk into that office and say, "Hey Josh, pack your bags." What I do say is this: you want to stay here? You got to meet us halfway. We like you, you've got talent, but your contract just doesn't match your role. That's the moment where Williams could follow the Nazeeh Johnson route and agree to a pay cut. It's a tough pill to swallow, but it's better than being unemployed. That kind of move shows maturity, humility, and commitment to the team. And let's be honest, playing for a Super Bowl contender like the Chiefs? That's worth taking a little less, especially when your reps are limited anyway. So let's turn it over to you. Should the Chiefs ask Joshua Williams to take a pay cut, or should they move on altogether? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see how you'd handle it as GM. And again, don't forget to subscribe to Total Chiefs News. We're chasing 5,000 subscribers, and we're bringing this kind of honest Chiefs talk every single day. Hit that button, smash that like, and let's keep it moving. The Skyy Moore disappointment. Let's talk about Skyy Moore. And yeah, this one stings a little. The expectations were sky high, no pun intended, when the Chiefs selected him in the second round of the NFL draft. He was supposed to be the guy to help stabilize the wide and receiver room after Tyreek Hill's departure. Fast forward to now, and we're asking whether he even deserves a spot on the 53-man roster. It's harsh, but it's true. Look, Skyy Moore hasn't just underwhelmed, he's barely contributed at all. Whether it's injuries or just not showing up in big moments, the reality is that Moore has failed to deliver on the promise that came with his draft status. When he's been healthy, he hasn't separated himself from anyone on the field. When he's been hurt, he's just been invisible. And with every missed opportunity, the receiver room gets more competitive. You've got Nico Remigio, who's been a special teams asset and is climbing the depth chart, and Tyquan Thornton, who's having a fantastic offseason by all accounts. Both guys are pushing hard for those final wideout spots. So what does this mean for Skyy? Well, if the Chiefs cut him now, they'd save about $158 million against the cap. Not only that, it frees up a valuable roster slot in a crowded, talent-heavy receiver group. It's one of those situations where the numbers just aren't working in his favor. And yeah, it's a tough call. No team wants to admit they missed on a high draft pick, but if we're being honest here, Skyy Moore may be the worst draft pick of the Brett Veach era. And Veach has nailed a lot of picks, so that's saying something. At this point, it's less about hope and more about hard choices. The Chiefs are trying to win another Super Bowl, not develop a guy for year 3 or 4. You've either got it now or you're gone. So here's what I want to know from you. Should the Chiefs finally move on from Skyy Moore? Type Y for yes or N for no in the comments. Let your voice be heard on this one. And if you appreciate this kind of no-filter Chiefs coverage, do me a favor, subscribe right now. We're on the road to 5,000 subs, and your support helps keep this channel going strong every single day. Tight end battle, Tanyan versus the UDFA star. All right, last one on the list, and honestly, this is more about surprise rise than veteran failure. We're talking about Robert Tonyan, a guy with a solid NFL resume, especially from his time with the Packers. He's got experience, he's dependable, but the big question now is this. Is he still the best option for the Kansas City Chiefs' final tight end spot? Enter Jake Briningstool. The undrafted rookie out of Clemson has been an absolute standout during off-season workouts. And if you've been following closely, you know. This isn't just camp hype. He's outplaying Tanyan, flat out, and that's huge. Because if Briningstool keeps this up through training camp and preseason, you're looking at a younger, cheaper, and more athletic option with long-term upside. That's exactly the kind of guy you want developing behind Travis Kelce and Noah Gray. Cutting Tanyan would save the Chiefs just over $1 million. And again, while that may not seem massive, it gives KC more financial flexibility and lets them invest in a younger talent who could be part of the next era of Chiefs football. And look, no disrespect to Tanyan. He's a pro. He's done his job in this league. But when an undrafted guy comes in and starts turning heads, that's usually a sign. And from what we've seen, Jake Briningstool might just be the real deal. The tight end room is strong, but getting younger and more dynamic could be a smart long-term play. Letting Briningstool develop in this offense, that's a win-win. So let's close this one with a fan. Check in. Who are you keeping at tight end, Tanyan or Briningstool? Drop your answer in the comments. Let me know if you want the reliable vet or the rising rookie. And of course, if you've made it this far into the video, you're one of us. So help us hit that 5,000 subscriber milestone and keep the Total Chiefs news community growing strong. Click that subscribe button, hit like, and keep coming back for daily Chiefs content with no fluff and no filter.